Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview, and as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a 6'3" offensive lineman that can play any position out of that front five from the Florida International Panthers, Jaheim Buchanan. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? What's up? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Beyond happy to have someone like yourself, a young rising star in the offensive lineman ranks, on for an interview. I got to have Jordan Church on a while back from the same
Yeah.
area as you. He recommended you on a segment that we'll get into here a little bit later, and I'm happy he did because looking at your highlights, looking at what you've done, absolutely incredible. And I want to tell people a little summary of your journey so far in a segment
Mhm.
that I like to call Rewind and Recap. Just going to rewind the clock, talk about the past couple of years for yourself, starting your college career. 2023 season, you redshirted, didn't see a single snap on the field, ended up taking that time to learn and grow. And
Yeah.
then during the 2024 season, you entered in, didn't just see some action, you were a full-time starter, ended up playing multiple spots on that O line, primarily at left guard and center. And at the end of the season, you were recognized as one of the top freshmen in Conference USA. Whole lot happening for you in
Yeah.
just a short amount of time, a
Yeah.
lot for a young player to go through, especially not seeing the field in your first year and then becoming a full-time starter in year two. How would you summarize that first full year on the field for the Panthers in 2024?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank the man above. Without God, none of that would have been possible. Yeah, he through God will who I started. Yeah, through God's will happen His way. So I want to thank Him for everything that He has blessed me with the talent, the ability to just do this. Yeah, definitely. But the season, man, it went by fast. I came in I redshirted my freshman year. I was able to play in the last 3 games of my redshirt freshman year season. I played one snap against Arkansas, one of the best feelings ever. I played a couple snaps against Middle Tennessee, and I played in the last game against WKU. Yeah, so then I came in the 2024 season. I just kept my head down, kept working with the help of my brothers. The other older guys just kept pushing me just to be more. You know what I'm saying? Just to continue to just work, compete, and grind. For the spot. So yeah, it was definitely a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about before, or I mentioned before that you played multiple spots on the offensive line, primarily at left guard and at center. I know you were starting at a lot of those spots, but you and I talked before we started recording. You also spent some time at right guard and right tackle. The only position you did play was left tackle.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You were that guy that could be a multi-threat for your team wherever they needed you, you could
Mhm.
play. And for somebody that is very young in the field, you're only a redshirt freshman this past season going into your redshirt sophomore season. That's a lot of
Yeah.
information to retain on, different plays that you have to do at different positions. How would you say you embraced that role, being somebody that could play multiple positions?
Well, I would say that I had like a lot of good linemen around me who encouraged me, helped me just, kept me poised, helped me just like understand like concepts of plays. And once I was playing center, I started at center too. So it was like I kind of understood guard because the center, we ID and we're pointing things out. So, like the guard just came easy for me. Tackle, now that was a little bit harder because I had to understand spacing. With tackle, that's really all it is understanding spacing. I was just able to use my God gifted abilities to just like I'm a football player. I always tell people, so I love the game of football. So I do what I can. I don't want to say it necessarily comes easy, but it's just like I got a feel for the game, so I understand like what my assignment. Once I understand what my assignment is, I know exactly what I need to do to complete that assignment.
Yeah, and obviously spending those different times at those different positions, learning from the older offensive linemen that you got to
Yeah.
learn from, you guys were able to do pretty well throughout the season. Unfortunately, the season for the team as a whole didn't go the way
Yeah.
you guys wanted it to. 4-8 overall, 3-5 in Conference USA action. Being that guy on the offensive lineman, on the offensive line, where see, I stutter too, so it's okay. But uh, you know, you see those different roles that each player has. throughout the O line, and you obviously know that you guys are that first line of defense for the QB, opening the holes up for the running back, all that stuff. What
Yeah.
would you say you guys could have done better on the O line, whether it was, just maybe a couple more blocks, the spacing you talked about before with the tackles? What would you say the offensive line could have done a little bit better to help the team as a whole have more wins on the season?
Man, I feel like we just needed to improve a little bit more in our run blocking as a whole. When it's an offense line, it take all five guys to be on one page. So it's like one guy, takes a misstep or a false step or any little like mishap, which it's hard to just keep that thing rolling. But all it takes is for one guy to mess up, and that was kind of like our big thing where we either wouldn't hold our blocks long enough for our running backs to make a crease or get enough push, and that's something that I personally am going to work on because I feel that I need to improve in my run blocking a lot, as well as my pass blocking. But I definitely want to be more dominant in the run game. So that's something that I have set forth for myself to continue to work on this all season. But yeah, our run blocking for sure.
hmm All right, there you go. It's nice that you're already seeing where you got to improve, where the offensive line as a whole has to improve. You're obviously going to be taking a big leadership role heading into next season. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. But I know you're hard on yourself, man. I got to get more blocks. You did have some good ones throughout this season, and I know because
Yeah,
I was looking at as many places I could find on YouTube, Twitter, all this stuff for a segment that I like to call "Make That Play." And most people that hear this, they think of the wide receivers catching touchdowns. They think of
mhm.
the QBs, the running backs. I tell you what, and I told this to Big J Church when I interviewed him. Finding highlights for offensive linemen is so much fun because you guys lay people in the dirt. And
Yeah.
I have my top three plays from what I could find right here on my list. But I do want to ask you, as that guy getting down and dirty, pause for the offensive lineman. What was your top play from this past season?
Uh, my top play from this past season. I had a play middle 10 game where we're on I want to say like the 20ish yard line going in. Um, where I took a pass set and then I stabbed, and when I stabbed, I kind of got him off balance, and like I was able to just like pancake him, and then I like laid on top of him. That's one of my favorite plays. Um, I'm trying to think, man. It was it was a lot of plays. Let me think.
Oh, hey, I mean, those
I
are
had
some.
one. I had one where I pulled. I think I pulled from the center position, and I was able to like pick the backer up, and then I kind of like I think I like pancaked him too. But yeah, those probably are the top two for me. Just being able to do that, as a young old lineman was kind of special
There you
to me.
go. Well, I think I know which one you're talking about right there. What game was that against that last one?
Central Michigan. I
Central
think it was
Michigan?
Central Michigan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one that I have right here for number one because number one, I have a big time pancake block where you were at that center position and you went through and boom, laid him on his back,
Yeah,
completely pancaked the guy to make way for your quarterback. And then against Central Michigan, you ended up holding a block against the defensive tackle to make a perfect amount of space. We talked about that spacing earlier to run straight through into the end zone for another touchdown. And then number three against Louisiana Tech, you got through that defensive line, and then you actually made it to the second level for a big block against their linebacker to help create even more space for your running back, move you guys downfield even more.
exactly what play you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you had some great blocks throughout this season to where you were able to make those plays for your team, and you did it from those different spots on the offensive line. And obviously, you know the plays, you know the schemes going in, before the snap. But as
Mhm.
you well know, sometimes things go haywire. Sometimes your quarterback is out scrambling. There's a blitz that you have to account for, or something like that, where things need to be adapted to. How
Yeah.
do you, as a guy, that is having to play all those different positions, how do you adapt, in these different situations? And what's the difference from adapting as a center to a guard to a tackle?
So I want to say I try to think. I try to think about things logically. Like, okay, I understand that if I'm at center here, I look at the defense as if I'm a center when I'm playing guard or when I'm playing tackle. So let's say if I'm at center here, if it's an even front, I would point this backer. So that means that this would be my job. And that just kind of makes it simple for me to understand my job. Because once you understand how to play the center position, you can play any position on the line. Once you actually like really understand like all the calls and the meaning behind the calls and the meaning behind the plays and why we're running them, then you really understand, okay, I need to take these steps to make this block, or I need to, you feel me? I need to lighten up in my stance just a little to where it's not noticeable so they won't know that I need to kick fast enough to get there, or it's just little things that you I just try to think about logically, you know,
Yeah,
put it
those
on.
those are great ways to kind of look at it. And obviously, you're still improving your game a lot, being that young guy who is now having to take on that leadership role, as I mentioned before, as one of two primary starters for the offense that are returning. Most of the offense has transferred out. I know a couple of receivers went to Georgia Tech. Travis Berg on the offensive line with you, he's heading to Memphis. Yourself
Yeah.
and your quarterback Jenkins, the two of you are the only two primary starters coming back. I know one of your running backs split time starting here and there. But with that, you are expected to know a lot more. You're expected to help out this new coaching staff that's coming in on the field as one of those guys that is used to the FIU culture. How are you looking to embrace that role as a leader so young in your career heading into 2025?
I will say, it's a blessing to even be considered as a leader. Me and my teammates, we all just hold each other accountable. We just keep each other, going forward with a lot of positivity. Just trying to just help each other, just push through. It was difficult. Getting a new coach. Like I'm not gonna lie, it caught me kind of off guard, but I chose to stick it out with Willie Simmons. I believe in his image, his message, and what he has in store for us. So uh, I'm just I'm happy to even be able to be called a leader, and my plan is just to lead by example, really, like just continue to encourage my guys.
Yeah, it's obviously always crazy when you got that coaching change coming in. You have a whole new staff coming in. You mentioned him right there, new head coach and Willie Simmons. With those two new coaches, obviously they're looking to help you guys grow on that offensive line, make sure you guys are ready for the upcoming season. What's the communication that you've had with them, and what are your thoughts on their vision for you and the rest of the O line in 2025?
Um, you know, well, we want to be dominant in every aspect for sure. I've had brief conversations with Coach Pata, but each and every conversation, we just, we rarely talk about football. We're just kind of trying to build a relationship at the moment. So I could just say that he just told me like we're going to be dominant in every aspect, and he's just going to do everything he can to put us in the best positions to win.
There you go. What are your thoughts on your new offensive line coach? Has he talked to you about how he's getting you guys ready to be that dominant force?
So Coach Paddock, we haven't really had much conversations with him, but from some of the guys who've transferred here from UM or who has been coached by him before, have told us they've said like he's a cool, calm, collect coach. He doesn't really say too much. He doesn't really, outside of practice, but he's definitely going to push us. He's definitely a good coach, and I've heard nothing but positive things about him, and I've seen nothing but positive signs. So like I said, I'm really just excited to see what he can teach me. I'm willing to learn any and everything I can because I want to go to the next level. So,
Absolutely. There you go. And obviously, you're still working to keep that starting spot. Obviously, new coaches coming in, like they got to get to know you, what you do on the field. And you are somebody, like we talked about, multi-threat on the offensive line, can do a lot of things. You have a very good knowledge of the game from what I can tell just by talking to you. Uh, you going into that redshirt sophomore season, what is your goal and your vision for not just yourself, but this FIU team as a whole?
first off, we want to try to make the college football playoffs. In order to do that, we have to win out. So, That's our goal. We also want to be CUSA champions. So, that's my goal personally for me, myself, and my team is to win out. And I will do anything I can possibly do to help us do that, whether it be play, tackle, guard, center, or tight end. I don't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter to me. I just want to win, man. And, just keep going.
There you go, man. And having great guys like yourself and your QB Jenkins coming back, your running back that we mentioned, as well as some key defensive players that are returning as well. That's going to help FIU to hopefully make it to that college football national playoffs. And
Yeah.
I love having great guys like yourself on, like Jay Church, who I mentioned before. And this is the segment that he mentioned you in, to where I started noticing what you could do. Looked up your name, and I'm like, I got to get this guy on. It's a segment that I like to call Who's Up Next. In this segment, you give me whatever names you want to recommend for me to reach out to, have on for an interview with the podcast, whether it's, this season, next season, or whenever. Two rules, though. First of which, just like I told Jay Church, you got to help me get them on. That's rule number one. Rule number two, you got to give me at least one name where they were not a part of FIU this past season.
Oh, so like the guys that transferred, I can't mention them.
You
And
you can mention the guys that transferred in because they played for a different team last season.
no, the guys that transferred out.
Transferred out. Yeah. Well, you can mention them also, but you got to give me at least one where they weren't with
You
FIU.
weren't with FIU at all. Okay. So so I'm gonna start with the ones that were with FIU. I have to go with um Nia Jackson. He transferred to Louisville. That's my boy. He kept me encouraged. He kept me motivated. So he's definitely somebody you may want to get with. Also, let me think. Travis Berg, of course.
Yeah.
And basically all my guys that left me, man. John Bach and oh man, JD Lee, Jadarius Lee. All my guys that left me. Them guys are dogs, man. We had a great chemistry. We bonded, we did everything. It was a great time. I'm happy for them boys, though. I'm glad that they were able to do it all that they wanted to do. So for somebody who isn't here, I'm gonna have to go with I don't want to say his name wrong, but he's a running back at FAMU, Bo Somerset. Yeah, I just was able to briefly see what he did all through like highlights on Instagram. He had a great season this season. I'm very happy for him. He's also from Fort Myers, Florida. He went to North Fort Myers. I remember him trying to get me at FAMU at a point of time. I'm happy to see the city winning. So I also want to say my boy at Bethune Cookman, Sean Rush. That boy, he did some good things this season as well. Aiden Goolsby, he's at Minnesota. Minnesota, yeah, he did some amazing things this season. Played very well, and I'm very proud of him. Richard Young, he's at Alabama. He took off as well. Just we had a lot of guys, man, and I'm happy just to see all of them just succeed. Yeah,
That's
trying
awesome.
to,
Yeah. I mean, Fort Myers, I know firsthand. There's some dogs that come out of the 2-3.
definitely, there's
Dogs
definitely some
tell
dogs.
the story,
Yeah,
man. It's great. I mean, yourself, Jay Church, Tavin Ward, who's a good friend of mine. He's
yeah.
plays safety at South Florida. Quayshawn Fuller. I went to middle school with him. He just got
That
done.
was my mentor. In middle school, Quayshawn Fuller was my mentor.
Oh, there you go, man. Yeah, he's
Before
been a
I
great
got
friend of mine for a long, long time, man. And so that right there, that's who's up next. And now obviously we got to talk about what's next for yourself. You talked about wanting to be that dominant offensive lineman doing what you do. What does that entail this offseason? What are you doing to be that dominant offensive lineman next season so your coaching staff has no choice but to put you in that starting spot, no matter where that is on the O line?
So you know how I said I like to lead by example. So I push myself in everything I can do. You feel me? As hard as I possibly can. I try to leave nothing in the tank. So I'm just going to continue to work as hard as I've been working. Just continue to be fast on my feet. Continue to learn and grow. Like I said, it's a blessing just to even be in this position. So I just want to take full advantage of it. So I'm going to continue to just do what I do, man. Just continue to work.
Hey, there you go, man. And I cannot wait to see what 2025 has in store for this new looking Panthers team. Might have to make a trip out to FIU. No, no
Got
lie.
to, got to.
Might be moving. Look, I might be moving to West Palm Beach here soon. Be an hour away. Definitely gonna
Got
have to go to
to the
FIU
game.
for sure.
Got to
So
come to the games.
definitely excited to see what you're gonna do next season, man. Definitely love the confidence that you have in yourself and your team. So keep on doing your thing, man. And you better believe that next year, same time of year, I'm having you on again after you guys hold up that Conference USA trophy.
Definitely. Definitely. You got to do that.
There you go, man. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast today, man. Love what you guys do and keep on thriving, man.
No problem. Thank you.